back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live stream audience there, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, and much, much more. Don't forget about Alexa and, of course, our app. Glad to have you with us on today's show. This is super exciting. I've been looking forward to this probably for about a week and a half for a couple of reasons. I love being able to see people, come out with great ideas. I hate seeing people being nervous, especially when they have a good idea, but they don't know how to pitch. But I love the idea that they're taking this, being able to pitch, going online, and then crowdfunding through abilities to be able to crowdfund so much more. There's so much really interesting ideas out there that need to go to the next level, especially during a time where we say, pandemic. But at the same time, there are businesses that sometimes start in the worst case of circumstances. Joining me right now are two very amazing individuals in their own right, of course, able and doing exactly what other people say. Hey, you need some help? I think I can help you, but please make sure we're both going to make money and not lose money at this. We've got with us the co-founder and CEO of StartEngine Capital, Howard Marks, and of course, somebody else who is no stranger to the idea of course, how people do their things. We've got Kevin O'Leary. Good morning. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about this. StartEngine Capital. First of all, there's going to be a pitch fest. Pitching is never easy. Any ideas on why somebody would want to not do this if they already have a business idea and they need to go next level?
I don't know why you wouldn't do this. This is a great idea. I mean, we celebrate entrepreneurship at StartEngine. That's the whole idea. But at the same time, this is part of the digitization of America. The Jobs Act, enacted years ago, has been translated into this marvelous platform where you can actually finance your business on StartEngine. There are hundreds of thousands of investors already on the platform looking at deals that are put up there every day, and they build their own portfolio of holdings with venture capital companies. So by celebrating this, we hold these contests so that they can really hone their chops and their pitches. You have to be good. You have to be able to explain in 90 seconds or less why you have a great idea, and then you have to really tie yourself as the person who's going to take that idea and execute the business plan. So you need some executional skills. And lastly, you better know your numbers. You got to get all that together, and if you get it right, you might win that contest. And that's the whole idea of starting to celebrate and promote and talk about your deal, because it's the beginning of a journey. It's not a destination. And this is how you start. And then you go on to StartEngine, you raise your first up to $5 million. That's the big news. It used to be only $1,070,000. Now the regulators opened it up to $5 million to make it totally competitive with traditional venture capital. There's a lot of exciting things happening here.
Well, and of course, you teamed up with a pretty big name. Of course, Kevin O'Leary. Are you there with us, Kevin?
I'm here. That was Kevin talking. I haven't heard from Howard yet. Howard Marks is the founder.
Okay, good to meet you, Kevin. Okay, I'm terrible on the voices. Yes, Howard there with us?
I don't hear him.
Okay, we'll try to get him. I think he was supposed to
tell the story, because I'm also an investor in Howard's deal. I mean, I like StartEngine a lot for what it does.
Well, okay, and so let's talk about that, of course. Now, and I agree, back when, I mean, for example, I remember hearing from you saying, when it comes to the Shark Tank big phenomenon, of course, you've already invested well before that, right? Of course, it's not like something they pitched you the reality show and then you go, okay, let's how do I invest in people? You find, I feel, people that I think sometimes even they either believe too much in themselves or not enough. Which do you find that to be the case? Is it too much of themselves or not enough, or just they need to hit reality for you to invest?
Well, that is the drama of Shark Tank. We do not see these deals before they come through the door. It's always remarkable to see how diverse they all are. And of course, each team is different. I mean, what I'm looking for is a great idea with someone that can execute on it, because great ideas are dime a dozen. People that can actually have executional skills to implement it over the next 3 to 5 years, they're really hard to find. But when you get them together, that's when you make investments on Shark Tank. The secret sauce of Shark Tank is the 100 million plus eyeballs that are going to see that deal as it's broadcasted and then goes through syndication all around the world. And so it's an opportunity for you to get an incredible platform of people to learn about your idea. And you can see this happens. It's not unusual to sell millions of dollars in 8 minutes when that deal first airs on, Friday night. It's absolutely incredible. We've never seen anything like this. And of course, it's going into its 13th season. I'm on my way to Los Angeles soon to start shooting it. And I think we'll have the, remarkable deals yet again. Every year it gets bigger. And of course, it's the #1 show on Friday nights across all the networks because it's great family entertainment, but it's also the human trials and tribulations. Sometimes lightning strikes and you watch these people become millionaires in a matter of a few months. And that's what's so great about Shark Tank.
Well, and again, I remember, because I come from the world of entertainment, right? And or film. And we would go, I don't know if you've ever been to the American film market. I don't think I've ever, or maybe you have, I don't know. Maybe quietly and or secretly.
I think I've either hosted or been to every award show.
Okay. So this is where people pitch their ideas and or a film, right? And so I'm so used to hearing, pitches about a great idea of a story, because you've got, film is a very quick type of business, right? You set up the business, you throw it away, once it gets published, and you put a whole team together. Hopefully it's a great production. Hopefully the investors get their money back or not, but it starts with the idea. And there's so many good ideas that sometimes people just go, I don't know if I could do it. Or it's a 30-second pitch, but you hear it like in a 5-minute, and you're like, I don't have that much time. I'm an investor. What do you want? So do you ever get that just on the street?
Yeah, it happens. I mean, the thing about doing venture investing, whether it's in a film or in a company or an idea, is you need diversification. You need many different deals in your portfolio, because you really don't know, just like the film business, which one's going to be a hit and which one's going to be a failure until it actually goes out on the air. And so that's the big news this month, which I think is remarkable, is in the case of StartEngine, which is a place where we finance all these ideas. You could finance a film there if you wanted.
Yeah.
It's that the government and the regulator has raised it up to $5 million. And the reason that, in the beginning that Equity Crowdfunding, which is what StartEngine is, didn't get the explosive platform was because it was limited to $1.07 million. So every venture capital firm would always say, well, you have to do the same amount of work to raise $1.07 million versus we'll give you $5 million. They didn't tell you about all the different, bells and whistles they're going to stick on their offer. But now it's a totally competitive platform. You can go to Equity Crowdfunding. You can get your own customers to become your shareholders. You can build a huge social media campaign around your offer, and you can raise exactly the same amount of money that a venture capital firm was going to give you at much better terms. And that's what we're so excited about. This is great for Shark Tank companies. This is great for anybody that wants to raise money. They just have to check it out. It basically is online. It's no different than this pandemic year has pushed everything online, including Equity Crowdfunding. And the largest platform in the U.S. right now is StartEngine.com. That's the place to look at.
Well, and what a better, okay, because I remember when Equity Crowdfunding was brought to me by another, I'll call him a shark investor, Manny Fernandez. And Manny told me about this, and I'm not going to lie, I was like, okay, Equity Crowdfunding, what is that? And then I talked to some investors, and at the time, I think this was when it first came out, back to the Jobs Act. What was that, about 5-6 years ago? I think it came out with President Obama.
Just under 6 years. It's been a while, but the problem was you could only raise $1,070,000. That was it. You did all the work. And most companies want to raise more than that if they're going to put all that time and effort. And that's what held it back. Now there's nothing holding it back.
And I want to talk about that because, okay, it's different. Because I've explained this, I think, to several people, and they're like, I could tell their head goes in like, they go, that sounds good, but I don't understand that. So equity crowdfunding is different than, and I think the better thing, if you're going to like do a Kickstarter project and or an Indiegogo project, because equity, can you share with me what that part means? Because now, even if you're a small time investor, maybe you don't have a million or 20 million or 10 million or $1 billion to put in, but you can invest in good startup ideas and not just get like little perks, which I think is okay. But now you get, so talk to me about that portion of it, because that's really good for both the humble and or a small time investor, and of course the big time phenomenon person with the big money to bring in, to be able to say, you know, I want to put some money out there and let's get things moving. Let's get business doing, especially with online companies.
So the key to this is diversification. Whether you have 1,000 or 10,000 to invest, you know, there's always, if you look at a good portfolio of just long-term investing, you do want to have some venture capital because those are where the highest returns come from. It's very risky, which is why you need diversification. If you invest in 10 companies, maybe 2 of them are going to work, but they're going to be huge outcomes. You know, imagine if you had put $100 into Google or Microsoft in its day, or Yahoo, or any of these names that, you know, you could have if you had equity crowdfunding back then, but you didn't. Now you do. So the whole idea is you go to StartEngine.com, you look at all the different offerings that are there, pages of them, and you say, I'm going to build a portfolio. I'm going to put $100 into 10 deals of things that mean something to me that I like, and that's the way I do it. And so I look at it, and so I've got 36 different investments in private small companies, and things that I understand, things that I like, and I never know with certainty which one's going to work, but it's a portfolio. That's the whole idea of StartEngine. You go on board, you set up an account, you decide what you're going to put to work. There's all kinds of different ideas there, but you must build a portfolio. Don't just bet on one deal. You can never know what's going to happen. I tell people that all the time. Diversification, that's the key.
I love that you're bringing it because I will say, looking at this, either A, you're an investor that can bring the money to the table, and or you're the person with the great business idea. Now, of course, you know, an idea is an idea until it's not anymore. What I mean by that is everybody I talk to that say, man, I had that as an idea. I go, but why didn't you put that forward? We live in such a connected world that we never did before. You know, I find that some are not college graduates, some are not what they would consider very maybe, you know, super intelligent Princeton style, you know, backgrounds. But this is not that I'm downing that, but this is a time where you see some very successful businesses, from women entrepreneurs, right? I know you are one of which. I think you said something about women entrepreneurs that really, I think, actually turn in investment and then you see your capital back faster, I believe.
No, I've looked over, 10 years of data. I've had so many different companies, but the majority of my successes and return of capital have come from companies run by women. And so they're in a wide range of different industries, but they're very, very good at mitigating risk. You know, that old adage, you want something done, give it to a busy mother. Yeah. That really applies to small startup companies where you're juggling so many different things at once. And so over the long term, and this is many, many years, over a decade, those are the outcomes that I've had the most success with. So, I'm not trying to start gender warfare. I'd give money to a goat if I could get a return. But I've just found over time that women are better at the startup phase. Right. I'm sure it manifests itself into better management, in larger companies too. I don't think we put enough women in positions of management. It's not about, doing it by, it should be just done by merit. They're really good. And why would you not invest in them when you get such fantastic returns? That's what I think about.
Yeah, well, and again, I want to talk about this particular project that's coming up, but it's coming up pretty quick and fast. So I can see some people going, what? I don't have time for this pitch. But it's happening just around the corner, right? Let's talk about that. March 26th is a live pitch competition. How's that going to operate?
Well, it's great. I mean, we do it virtually. We've done it before. It's always wildly successful because you get the entrepreneurs, lining up to pitch, and it's timed. You don't get much time, you get a few minutes. And then I'm listening to the pitches, and we basically pick a winner. And the great thing about it is the thousands of people watching it that are also entrepreneurs get some ideas on what works and what doesn't in terms of pitch. Because you're going to be doing the majority of your pitching for the next, foreseeable future virtually. Even when the pandemic's over, people are still going to take advantage of digital technology so you can pitch all around the world simultaneously. And I think that's really why this is important. This pitch, we did it the first time. It was fantastic. And we're going to keep doing it because we get so much excitement out of it. And we celebrate the whole idea of, equity crowd platform. And so we're, educating people about it. We're showing them examples of how it works. There's some of the CEOs on there. Howard's also involved to talk about it. I love the whole idea of having competitive markets to fund startups. It can be a hedge fund, or it could be a private equity company, or it could be venture capital, but now it's also equity crowdfunding. And for me, the most, interesting is equity crowdfunding, because there's no time pressure. So, these private equity firms or these venture capital firms have 5-year funds. So if your deal is growing, in the 5th year, all of a sudden there's pressure that they have to sell their stock. That doesn't happen in equity crowdfunding, because people come in for different reasons at different times. And they're mostly your customers. That's the best part. If you structure it that way, you have your advocates owning your stock, and while they use your product or service, they're also shareholders. That has no time limit. Much better.
I'm looking at the reasons to invest here, of course, and I know some people are listening to this and they're thinking about this for the very first time. They're going, I can make my money work for me with smart business ideas. Wouldn't that be awesome? But I see here the minimum buy-in here is about $515 of $2,084,386. What does that mean?
Well, it depends on each deal. Sometimes there's minimums, sometimes there isn't. Usually the minimum is $100 or can be that low. And they basically tell you on the platform how much they're trying to raise. Maybe they're trying to raise $1 million, maybe they're trying to raise $5 million, or something in between. So you get an idea of what the raise is like. You can also see how it's going. You can see how many dollars have been raised and how many shareholders there are. So it gives you an idea of the momentum of these deals as you're going through all the different ones. But I tell people, invest in things you understand. If you're really into electric cars and electric vehicles, invest in that. If you love drone technology, invest in that. If there's something about a food product or service you like, invest in that. Or invest in a combination of things you understand. And that's the great thing about StartEngine. There's always new deals getting posted there almost every day. And you choose what you like. And I think that's the important part. And the entrepreneurs can use social media to drive traffic to their deals. It's a perfect platform this way. You can really have a big bullhorn and say, look, I'm doing this raise. Maybe you've heard of my product. Maybe you're a customer. Maybe you've tried it and you want to invest $100 or $500, whatever it is. You can go to StartEngine and do that. But I always say this when I'm talking about venture investing. Get a portfolio. Don't just bet on one horse. You want to bet the whole race.
Well, and I'm looking at a few of these. Nightscope has raised 24 million. Farm.one has raised 446,000. Red Mountain Resort is an endangered species with the ski resort world, has raised $1 million, has 424 investors behind that. Look, so what if let's say you say, you know what, it's not for me, but it might be for somebody else because they understand it. Because what you bring as well is something that I've seen that some businesses need. They don't just need capital, but if you have an investment idea, I know when you invest or any of the other sharks that you usually team up with, sometimes you go halfers in a deal to help a business, right? Or you give up a little bit to say, hey, you've got a good, what I call not just equity funding, but maybe social funding and or social ability to be able to say, okay, I could make 12 different calls to the supply chain that you need to take your idea, not just from regional to national, but even international overnight. Can we make it happen? And sometimes I see some people go, for how much do you want? You're like, well, I'm going to do a lot of heavy lifting. That's like 20, 30% of your company. And they go, I'm going to walk away. And I go, why would you do that? I like scream in terror. Do you ever scream in terror with some people and go like, can you take them to the side and say, can I give you some business math?
You know, every deal is different. That's what I say. Every single one. Sometimes I go in with other investors. Sometimes I do it myself. I enjoy a huge social media base of about 5 million followers, and I use that base to inform them of what I'm doing, what I'm investing in. They can decide on their own if they're interested or not. I mean, obviously, everything's changed in the last year. Everything's gone to a new place. It's all digital. Communications is digital. Everything we're doing now is we're communicating different ways. And that also shows up in the types of products and services that are being dreamt up by the new entrepreneurs of what I call the pandemic era. They're trying to solve problems for people that have to live in a slightly different way post-pandemic. And we're going to see a lot of those on Shark Tank, and a lot of those are going to find their way to StartEngine. And that's why we're having this pitch contest. We want to see the new ideas. That's the best part about the contest. Even if you're not pitching your own deal, listen to it, because you're going to hear all kinds of new things. You often say to yourself, why didn't I think of that? That's what I love about these pitch contests. I have no idea what's coming out the pipe, and I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I think you see where the future's going, especially when you hear some of these cool futuristic ideas. Before I let you go, Kevin, because I want to say thank you for spending time with us on this. Um, I have to go back though to yourself as a young boy. I don't know your story as a youth, but at what point did you see and or think, you know, what, I got the chops either from one of my family members or something, just to be able to see in people potential, because you see something that other people don't. Was there ever a time when you were young that you either A, had that shown to you and you thought, you know what, I'm going to do more of that, and just make, you didn't think of making money along the way, but you know, because very rarely do, when you say, you ask to a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an entrepreneur, right? So how did that turn out?
I think life is very serendipitous, full of twists and turns, good and bad outcomes, and you have to decide if you're going to be an entrepreneur at a young age, because you know it's not true that you get rich overnight. It takes a lot of work, and it's never a destination. It's always a journey, and it's full of potholes in the road. I can assure you of that. But the fact that I, you know, went through that, I had many failures. I had, you know, one big success, and then I became an investor. So I've experienced what it's like to operate a company and companies. I know what that's like. And I can look at entrepreneurs in a different way when I invest in them. And I certainly spend enough time guest lecturing at places like MIT, Harvard, Notre Dame, Temple. And I try and give those, usually I do graduating cohorts of engineers, because about a third of the engineering class is going to start new companies. And I like to, you know, see the deals early. But I tell them, you know, you have to pivot. You have to be ready to, you know, continually change, because facts change and things change. And my job is to try and help them not make the mistakes I've already made, so they go in with the path of least resistance much more in focus. And I think that's important. But if you're going to take this lifestyle on, you've got to understand there's a massive amount of sacrifice in it. There's no, you know, Saturdays and Sundays off. You're competing with somebody in Mumbai or Shanghai that wants to kick your butt, and sometimes they're ready to work 25 hours a day to do it. So it's tough out there. And, you know, it's not for everybody. I estimate only about a third of the population should do this. The rest should enjoy their lives being great employees. There's nothing wrong with that. But for those that want their own, it's nothing about money. It's not about the greed of money. It's the pursuit of personal freedom. And if you're successful as an entrepreneur, you can pursue the things that matter to you later in life, because you'll have your time set free. No one can tell you what to do. The things I do are things that I want to. Nobody can tell me what to do. And that's the whole idea. That's the goal that you want to have if you're an entrepreneur. Get to a place in life where you actually command every minute of your day.
Well, I'm already looking at some of the cool, I think 151 offerings that are already there. So it's not like it just started up overnight. You guys have been doing this, and these businesses haven't just started up overnight. They have everything ready to go. You can see what they have there. I think if you're, you got a business, this is definitely one you want to be on. If you got the money to invest, as little as I've seen, let's see, $250, $100, $249. But again, let's talk about this Pitch Fest really quick. How can they find it? Where do they go?
Just go to StartEngine.com and just, you know, start perusing there. You'll learn everything you need to know. And that's the place to, you know, find out everything about the pitch and everything about the platform. That's really what it's about. Learn about this platform, learn about the opportunity. If you're an entrepreneur, it's a great time to just sit back and watch what's going to happen. If you have a deal, obviously you should try and register and bring it in and pitch. But what I find so fascinating about it is what you learn about the mistakes, the right way to pitch and the wrong way. There'll be good, bad, and ugly at that pitch. I can tell you that. That contest can have all three.
That's sometimes the funnest thing that I like. That right there is I think the success of the show, because you see other people get really nervous and or handle it well, because you ask them, okay, what's the most what you find to be the simplest answer to know, but sometimes the hardest one for somebody to be honest about, because I've seen ones where you do a follow-up. I love the follow-up, because you go, okay, this is what you invested, but then what happened a year down the line? Where are they at? And you go, why did you lie to me? I mean, in my head, why did you lie? Right. So do you ever have ones where people need to be very honest and open about?
Well, you should always be open and honest when you're bringing investors in. That's the worst thing you could do, is lie to them. They're going to find out pretty damn fast what you did. So that's bad, and that'll hurt your reputation. And, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, you're constantly looking for capital if you're growing, and you want to make sure that people respect you and trust you. So that means you have to tell them the truth, even when it's bad news. They want to know that. So I find it very concerning that, people would even contemplate. I understand pitching your story in the best light, but when you cross the line and you lie about your numbers or something, that's really bad. So, that's part of the journey, though. I really think that the whole idea is there's a lot of people that want to be entrepreneurs. They should listen to these pitch contests to understand what it takes to be successful, because you're going to see very interesting ways that these deals are pitched. Remember, they're in a very compressed period of time, so you've got to be very succinct. You got to make sure you focus on the merits of the deal and explain why you can pull it off. That's what matters, and that's what we're going to see at this next pitch contest.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you for spending time with us. It's all right there. StartEngine.com. If you're just joining us, we got Kevin O'Leary. Check him out in the new season coming up, or any of the reruns. I'm telling you, you can always learn a lot. I say the entrepreneur program of USC and all the other ones out there need to do like a day and a half of just watching at least a full good hour-to-hour marathon of your show. I'm just saying. What do you think?
I totally agree. It is so much to learn from those shows. Even the Sharks learn every show. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, Kevin, thank you for spending time with us, and congratulations on all the work you're doing, all the businesses that you're putting forward into the sphere of influence.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, that's it. That's our time. Kevin O'Leary, everyone. I wanted to make sure to give as much time to that as possible. If you have an idea, go to StartEngine.com. Pitch your idea, get it all together first, of course. Usually a lot of these are already ideas that have been made into reality. Take the time to do so. Know your numbers. Never fudge your numbers. You fudge your numbers, forget it. That's it. If they suspect you're lying in them, they'll pick you apart quick and fast. So there you go. All right. I'm Aaron Michael Sanchez. Thanks for having some time with us. We'll see you tomorrow again right here on The Morning Show. Bye-bye, everyone.